News Radio WAM 1180 welcomes you to The Seniors Rock Show, presented by the law firm of Clark Feshkin. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion, shedding a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join us with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now, from the News Radio WAM 1180 studios in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Welcome to Seniors Rock Radio. I'm Joanna, your host, and I will be with you for the next hour here. And also with us is estate planning attorney and my co-host, Mike Robinson. He is a partner with the law firm of Clark Feshkin, and I am happy to see him. How are you, Mike?
Hey, Joanna. Happy Saturday and happy holidays. I'm doing great.
Good. And also, we have another Mike here with us this week, and his name is Michael Garland. He's the director of Monroe County's Department of Environmental Services, and he's been doing that since 2008. He's responsible for the department's $104 million annual operating budget, and it's 330 employees as well. He is really got a lot going on there, and he supports the divisions of Pure Waters, Solid Waste, Engineering, Facilities, and Fleet. Whoa, that's quite a dynamic group of things to be overseeing. And Mike will be our guest today, and you're going to hear a lot more from him. He will help us to better understand how these services benefit all of us, and also how we can be the best partners to them, because it does change, and we're going to learn more about that too. Like what we put in the recycle bins, does it matter or not? And we're going to find out more specific in the next hour about what you can do and what you can't do and what you shouldn't do and what you can contaminate with. There's all kinds of things. So please listen and please share this information. You can get more at the end of the program as well, and share that with your friends and family. But first, let's hear from my co-host, Mike Robinson. Again, good to see you. What do you got going on?
Well, it is 2 days before Christmas, so I'm still getting ready for the big day, but it'll all come together on time. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, New Year's is just a week later. So this time of year, in addition to holiday plans, a lot of people are thinking, Joanna, about taxes.
Oh, yes, taxes.
So
the big year-end surprise.
Indeed. So I thought I'd update our listeners on some changes coming in 2024 related to taxes. And a couple of these I mentioned a few weeks ago, but we've had some updates too. So one of the things that everybody gets excited about is the estate tax exclusion amount. And that's the amount of money an individual can pass without having to pay estate taxes. And on the federal level, that number is going to increase. This year, it's $12.92 million. It's going to be $13.61 million effective January 1.
And that is, say again, what is it?
That's the federal estate tax exclusion. So that's the amount that one can pass on at death or during their lifetime, as we'll talk about in a moment, without having to pay any gift taxes or estate taxes. New York doesn't have a gift tax, but we do have an estate tax. So we have an estate tax exclusion amount also. And here in 2023, it's $6.58 million. On January 1, it's going to increase to $6.94 million.
Wow. And that seems to change every year. I mean,
they do.
Since I've been around you, it has.
Correct. It's indexed for inflation, both the federal and the state exclusion amount. The inflation number that is used differs between the federal and the state, but they come in pretty close. Another amount that people often ask about is how much can I give each year without having to pay a gift tax? And that amount also is indexed for inflation. It's this year $17,000. January 1, that's going to go up to $18,000.
Now, I have a question. When you say gift, does it matter who you're gifting it to? Does it have to be a family member? Does it, is there any strict restrictions there?
In a couple of instances, yes. So the general rule is you can gift up to $18,000 per calendar year per individual to any number of individuals. You don't have to be related to them. And if you're a married couple and you do what's called gift splitting, you elect to each treat yourself as having made the gift, it doubles. So then it becomes $36,000 per person per calendar year. Now, in addition to that, there is a deduction available for gifts made to a spouse, and that's called the unlimited marital deduction. And it's what it sounds like. You can give any amount to your spouse, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars if you have it, no gift tax.
What? Are you listening, John?
So there you go. There you go. Now, that applies, Joanna, to citizen spouses. If your spouse is a non-citizen, then there is no unlimited exclusion. You have $185,000 effective January 1 that you can give to your non-citizen spouse without there being any gift tax implications.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, and if you're making gifts for tax planning purposes and you want those gifts to be treated as having been made in 2023, those gifts have to be deemed completed by the end of the year. And completed means there's no way you can take it back. So, for example, if you write a check off your checking account and you give someone that check for Christmas, that check must be cashed before the end of the year for the IRS to consider it a completed gift. Because
the end of the year that you write the check on.
Exactly. Wow. Because, of course, you can always put a stop payment order on that check if it hasn't been cashed yet. So if that's a concern, you might consider using a cashier's check, because there, once you do part with control over the cashier's check, your gift is deemed to be completed regardless of when the donee cashes the check. And if you're considering making a large gift or a gift of real estate, you really should be consulting with an estate planning attorney, because there are several issues to consider that may not be obvious, but that can lead to a bad result both for the giver of the gift and for the receiver. And, you know, speaking of gifts, one of the best gifts, Joanna, that you can give to your loved ones is to create a comprehensive estate plan and to do it now.
Yep.
You know, as you know, I always say life comes at us fast. And certainly, yep, it's going to save your family money. But more importantly, it will save your loved ones a great deal of stress and heartache.
Absolutely. And I've seen it myself personally. I'm sure the folks out there have seen it too. So don't procrastinate about that. It's so important, because, as Mike said, you just don't know. We all live for today, but you don't know what's happening tomorrow either. So thank you, Mike. That's a great lesson. And folks, Mike has all kinds of great information. You can go on the Clark Peshkin website and see more. You can see when they do have their seminars, and they'll be coming up with those. So please check it out. He's got lots of great information, and there is no obligation to go to one of these seminars either. So check it out at clarkpeshkin.com. And if you've ever said, can I recycle this? Well, you better stay tuned, because we are going to have a lesson on recycling with Mike Garland, the director of Monroe County's Department of Environmental Services. And he's going to be with us next on Seniors Rock Radio, so stay right there.
And welcome back. And joining us now is Mike Garland. Mike first joined the county in 1996 as special assistant to the county executive, managing major capital projects, energy initiatives, and environmental programs. His 37-year career began in private sector consulting on domestic and international water projects. Mike holds a bachelor's in civil engineering from Villanova University and a master's in civil engineering from the University at Buffalo. Mike Garland is a past president and water ambassador of the New York Water Environment Association. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, thank you, Mike and Joanna. It's great to be here.
It's great to see you. And I told you before, I heard you on the radio, and I had to have you come on our show because you had so much great information. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
And I must say, for Mike Robinson, that you missed one of the schools that you went to. What was it?
Oh, McQuaid. That's right. Class of 81.
I know.
Knights.
It's a tight-knit group. Anyway, well, I'm welcome to the show. And I'm going to start the questions. And I'm so excited because every week I have questions about recycling. So we're happy to have you here. And I'm going to start with, let's back it up. What is the history of recycling in Monroe County? When did we start doing that?
Well, that's a great question. And this time of year is a great time to trash talk. And I say that because we know during the holiday season that households generate 25% more trash and recycling, and that period lasts from November really through February each year. But recycling has been mandatory in Monroe County for residents and businesses and institutions since 1991. In 91, Monroe County passed the Solid Waste Reuse and Recycling Law and Regulations, and that required recycling as mandatory for residents, businesses, and institutions. And it included newspaper, magazines, cardboard, metal cans, glass food, beverage containers, plastics number 1 and 2. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And at the time, recycling was dual stream. And as you might recall, it required homeowners to separate paper and cardboard from containers, glass, plastic, and tin. But 2021 marked the 30th anniversary of Local Law Number 3, which again began the inception of the curbside recycling program. And it's one of the oldest curbside collection programs in New York State. And it wouldn't be as successful as it is without the dedicated environmental stewardship of the residents here in Monroe County, who are really determined to do the right thing for the environment. So the program's evolved since 1991 considerably. In 2004, the Monroe County Recycling Center began accepting all clean paper, including junk mail, envelopes, office paper, and paperboard, aerosol cans, and cartons. In 2011, the Recycling Center began accepting plastics number 1 through 7, and I'll talk a little bit more about those numbers, aluminum foil, as well as pots and pans. But a very significant change took place in 2013, and that's when we converted the processing facility to single stream. We converted it from dual stream to single stream. What does that mean? It basically allowed residents, businesses, and institutions to be able to commingle all of their recyclables. It didn't require the homeowner to sort at the curb. It didn't require the hauler to sort at the curb either, putting those recyclables in different sides of their vehicle. It made it a lot easier. And a number of advantages have been realized through our single stream or mixed recycling program. It's more cost effective for the collection operation. It's more convenient for residents. They're generally provided a toter so they can put more material in their toter. They increase more as a result. They're able to be kept dry because we have a lid on that. There's wheels. It's just easier to move the carts around. And haulers offer biweekly collections, so they don't necessarily need to bring out the toter every week to the curb. Right. Unfortunately, it has generated a little bit of confusion. We can talk more about that. But to date, we're averaging about 50,000 tons of recyclables per year.
Wow. When you talk about the history, that makes me realize why it is a little confusing, because you've constantly been morphing it to make it better, but it does make it confusing in the household end. So I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to ask you, let's start with it. What is the biggest challenge that recycling has for residents? What do you hear?
Well, we get asked that question a lot. And the biggest challenge that we have now since 2013 is contamination. Before that, it was how to educate people on what they could recycle. Now our focus is on what they shouldn't be recycling, because we want to maximize the value of those products that are being sold to end markets to be recycled. And we know there's a number of reasons that are causing the contamination. Joanna, you talked about the changes, and yep, we're always looking to improve our program, and with that can cause some contamination. Even with toters, making it easier for folks to recycle can cause them to recycle things that maybe shouldn't be in there.
So, Mike, you're saying when you say you're saying that they're mixing things in there that are contaminating the other things. Okay, good, because I have a question about that. Are you supposed to clean everything? Like the glass, this morning I had a jam jar and I rinsed it all out and I put the top back on. I put it in my recycle bin. Is that the right thing to do?
That's the right thing to do. Thank you. And there's really 4 must-do rules. That's one of them. Make sure the recyclables are clean, dry, and empty, like your jam jar. No food or liquids in any of the containers. No bagged recyclables. Some folks think that they're helping out by bagging their recyclables in a plastic bag. Paper bag's okay, but a plastic bag causes problems.
We're going to talk about the plastic soon. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And then 4th, this is my favorite, no wish cycling. Wish cycling is when people want something to be recyclable, but it's not. They wish it would be recyclable. They wish more than anything that it could be recyclable, and they place it in the recycling bin, and it causes problems downstream.
Right. They're trying to do the right thing.
They're trying to do the right thing. So we tell people if they're not sure, when in doubt, throw it out.
Got it.
So hopefully your listeners will remember that throughout the holiday season. If they're just not sure, they can better to throw it out than contaminate the end product.
Good stuff. Hey, to borrow a line from The Graduate, plastics. Tell us about plastics. Why is it so confusing?
Well, plastics generate a lot of confusion. They have a lot of value, Mike. And before, we would rely on the numbers that you would see on the plastic themselves, right? And those were actually invented by the chemical industry and used to identify the plastic resin that made up that particular
And
product.
the little triangle.
Yes, exactly right. The chasing arrows, the number in between. And people would rely on it. They say, hey, well, if it's got that on there, it must be recyclable. Not the case. And as our program has evolved, we've instructed residents to recycle by shape for plastics. Bottles, jugs, jars, and tubs. Those are what are current recyclable. Mm-hmm. The most common contaminants that we have, and most common questions we have about plastics are a few items in particular.
All right, I'm going to have to stop you right there because we're going to break. But folks, stay with us because we're going to learn about contaminants next. And we're going to continue talking with Mike Garland. He's the director of Monroe County's Department of Environmental Services. We'll be right back after the news on News Radio WHAM 1180. We'll continue now with Michael Garland. He's the director of Monroe County Department of Environmental Services. And we've been talking about recycling. Now it's the holiday time, so I'm sure you're bringing some extra recyclables around, and maybe you got some unusual containers that are challenging you. He is going to tell us now what contaminates those recycle bins. Mike, thanks.
Well, we were talking earlier about plastics, and one of the most common sources of contamination in the recycling stream are certain plastics that they appear recyclable, but they're not acceptable at our recycling center, primarily clamshells. And clamshells are the takeout containers that you might get at some of our local food retailers for to-go food. It might be stamped with the plastic code, but it's not recyclable. So we ask residents to throw out those clamshells as well as berry containers. So blueberries, strawberries, blackberries.
Even those clear plastic ones.
Clear plastic flimsy ones are not acceptable. Unfortunately, they get flattened and they contaminate paper loads. They're real issues. So clamshells and berry containers. You're not alone.
The blueberry come in those plastic containers. I throw those out every week in the recycle. Thank you for teaching me that one. All right.
You're welcome.
It's eye-opening.
And another one we get is our pill bottles. Pharmaceutical pill bottles, they should really go in the trash.
Even empty.
Because there's often private information on there, personal information that's on the, and then sometimes there's medicine still within the bottle themselves. So we want to minimize that getting into the wrong hands. It can be brought back to the ECOPARK, and I'll talk a little bit more about the ECOPARK. But those are sources of plastic contamination.
Wow. Okay, so you just covered that really about what should residents think about or keep in mind during the holidays, Mike, when they have all these things, they're trying to clean up and everybody's trying to purge this time of year usually too. So is there an easy way to remember?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's, again, perfect time of year because nationwide, there's over 25 million tons of garbage and recyclable material produced. That's about 1 million extra tons per week. And so we know that there's a lot of items that can be readily recyclable, right? Wrapping paper can be recycled, plain wrapping paper, tissue paper, gift bags, gift boxes, cardboard. Certainly, we know a lot of materials are being shipped through Amazon and other outlets, even clean pizza boxes, plastic bottles, jugs, jars, tubs.
I got one. What about the plastic bag that comes on the newspaper for those of us that still get the paper?
Well, you can repurpose those for when you walk your dog if you want. That's one way.
Oh, no recycle.
You don't recycle them in your curbside bin, but you can bring plastic film, is what we call it, plastic bags back to retailers. They have an obligation to accept plastic bags.
But not in the recycle bin.
Not in the recycle bin, right. And that will interfere with the recycling process itself, the mechanical equipment, as well as contaminate.
What about a rubber band? The rubber band that comes
No
around.
rubber bands. Yeah, try to reuse those at home if you can.
Yikes.
Put them in your utility
And I'm
drawer.
trying so hard to be good. I can't imagine the nightmare you folks are getting at the other end there. Sorry.
Well, it's important that we're vigilant. And so we appreciate
And we're learning.
Yeah, you're learning. We appreciate that greatly. But there's a number of items during the holiday season that are not recyclable. You know, the bows, the ribbons, and the gift tags, foil, metallic wrapping paper, tanglers such as lights, cords, twine, and clothing.
Sparkly cards.
Sparkly. Well, you can put just regular paper cards right into the trash. But anything that has metal or like that, metallic or foil, should be trash. That's correct. Foam materials too, right? Coffee cups, meat trays, egg cartons, any of that styrofoam material should be thrown in the trash. At the ECOPARK, we accept large block styrofoam packing. It has to be clean. That's for when you're buying a large appliance or electronic device that might come with large block foam. But food contaminant out of the recycling bin. Lithium-ion batteries, rechargeable batteries, they're very, very dangerous. Should not go in the recycling bin. We have an outlet at the ECOPARK for those. It can be
So you shouldn't put those in the trash either. Is that right?
Alkaline batteries, right? We're familiar with regular alkaline batteries, can go in the trash. They don't pose a hazard. There's no marketable outlet for them, so they can't be readily recyclable right now. But rechargeable batteries, lithium-ion batteries, we're seeing more and more of those now in power tools and toys, scooters, e-bikes, and they can be a real hazard in the wrong place, and certainly in a recycling operation.
Good to know.
And then during the holidays, the last thing I would say too are cups, straws, silverware, any of the plastic single-use items should go in the trash.
Very good. Mike, tell us more about the ECOPARK. You've mentioned that a couple of times.
Well, thank you, Mike. We're very, very proud of the ECOPARK. It gets a tremendous amount of use throughout the year, and it is intended to be a one-stop drop for hard-to-dispose of but recoverable and recyclable material. It's material that is not accepted in the recycling center or in your curbside recycling toter, and we don't want it sent to the landfill. And the ECOPARK was a partnership created by Monroe County and Waste Management, now known as WM. So Monroe County and WM cooperate for this service for residents. It's located near the airport at 10 Avion Drive. It's open Wednesdays from 1 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays from 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there's a laundry list of materials that we accept there at the ECOPARK: household hazardous waste, electronics, appliances, pharmaceuticals, metals, clothing, waste tires. And we're always looking for new items to bring in there that folks may have at home. It could be in their basement, could be in their garage. And they're looking to purge that material. We can accept that at the ECOPARK.
Very good. And where should, there's a lot of great information here, but folks might have some additional questions. Where, Mike, should they go to if they have questions about recycling?
Well, they can go right to monroecounty.gov/recycling or /ECOPARK. We've got educational videos, award-winning, locally produced videos about the recycling center and the ECOPARK. They can watch those. They're very informative. We've got a training video for our Alexa app, which we'll talk about in a minute. We've got free downloads for our Recyclopedia, signage that people can use, and a lot of information that's just readily available to folks. They can even register to receive a free packet of information by mail, as well as our refrigerator magnet. We developed an Alexa app for residents who have a smart speaker, an Alexa smart speaker, and they simply need to say, Alexa, open Monroe County Recycling, and then they can ask away.
Terrific.
Thank you. And it's very helpful for particularly visually impaired folks or other people whose English isn't their first language. Great. And so we've had a lot of success with the Alexa app to help inform folks about recycling.
Good. Very good. And, okay, we are all trying really hard to do this right. But what if you think your hauler is taking those recyclables and trashing them?
Well, unfortunately, we received some calls about unscrupulous haulers who were trashing their recyclables. And when we receive those calls, we investigate them. We work with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and they will go out and investigate to determine if that hauler is trashing the recyclables. What they should do, though, if a resident thinks that's happening, contact their hauler first, or they may call us at the DES office at 753-7600, option 3.
Terrific. I was just going to say thank you, and please tell us how folks can get a hold of, well, not you directly, because you certainly have enough going on, and but we do need to know where to turn, and you've just covered it all. There's all kinds of ways. Even Alexa, that's crazy, and it's really good news. So thank you for sharing all of these important things. Thank you for telling us where to go to get the information, because I did have it on my refrigerator, but like I said, who knows where that went. Got replaced by grandchildren pictures or something. Anyway, thank you so much, Mike Garland, for what you're doing for everybody in Monroe County. And continue your good work and keep in touch so that we know if anything changes next time.
Certainly will.
All right.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks so much.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike. And welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. And Joanna, wow, a lot of great information from Mike Garland there.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we're coming up 2 more days. Are you all ready?
Well, I think I am ready. You know what? I am not pressuring myself anymore. We've talked about this on the show, and guess what? I'm just backing up. And last week, Mike Mateo from The Village said something that I thought was awesome. And he said that it's a quote from Jimmy Buffett, and it is, breathe in, breathe out, and move on. And I have been saying that to myself this week because every once in a while I go, oh, wait a minute, I got to do this. And I feel guilty about cards every single year. I'm thinking, last night I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do like the online cards. So I can never do enough, I guess. But again, I keep reminding myself, okay, dial back, because in another 2 weeks, no one's even going to be thinking about any of this stuff anymore, right?
Exactly.
That's what I think.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you. And you've helped me to be that way too. You know, I mean, everybody, you need to hear it sometimes, I think. Just, don't worry about it. Don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Yeah, but you're right. It's hard. You get caught up in things, and it's easy to feel that stress. So good for you. And there's still a lot going on, even though.
Are you ready?
I'm pretty ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. As ready as I'm going to be.
Yeah. You want to tell us what you got? Anybody or
no?
Oh, no, you can't do that on the radio.
Exactly. Don't want to ruin the surprises. So, but there is a lot going on still. I know today is the last day of the Rock Holiday Village downtown. That's a family-friendly affair. So if you're able to get down there and haven't been, that's always a lot of fun. There's a big Bills game tonight. We're still in the playoff hunt, so you can make it to Rock Holiday Village and still be home in time for the game.
Awesome. And everyone's so excited. I love seeing all the Bills stuff everywhere you go. It's fun. And so go Bills. And folks, thanks for listening today. And please join us next Saturday, too, because we're going to have a year-end wrap-up show. And you can call us, actually. It's going to be live. So we'd love to hear from you. And if you have any ideas for next year, please bring them to us. Call, just say hello. Maybe you're calling from, another area or something. We just love to hear from our listeners. And so please do that. And that's next week and every week. And give us some topics. We'd like to know what you'd like to hear about. So let's see. We're going to be moving on up. This is a big announcement in 2023 to the 11 a.m. hour on Saturdays.
Oh.
Yeah. Surprise.
How about that?
Yeah, we made that decision this week. And it's going to be good because it's going to give us the opportunity, Mike, to reach even more people. Because I guess, a little bit earlier on Saturday, more people. But the other thing is our guests and us, during those summer weeks where we're getting out later in the afternoon. This way, we'll get out at noon, and we can get out and have some fun like we're always talking about, right? We won't be cutting into baseball games and all these things that, we like to do in the summer. So I thought it was a great idea. 11 o'clock starting in the new year. We'll remind you some more, folks. But please remember, we're not going away. We're just going to be an hour earlier. So I'm going to say spend time with family and friends this week. That's what's important to me. Keep moving. And again, that quote, I'll tell you again, breathe in, breathe out, and move on. Don't sweat the small stuff. Celebrate this holiday season and every day, because you never know what's coming. And we want to be prepared, like Mike said, for everything. So kick back, relax, be prepared for today. Don't worry about tomorrow, and celebrate. Merry Christmas to those that are celebrating Christmas, to you and yours, and to everyone out there. Celebrate whatever you're thankful for, especially elders, because, we like to remind you every week, Seniors Rock.